Hello everyone, this is Pranav. Today we are going to discuss the rising conflict between United States and OPEC Plus. We'll also analyze crude oil production, supply management and global challenges. The article Rising Conflict between United States and OPEC. So is it that an accidental conflict? The answer is not, because rather, we have seen several times the conflict between the United States and the OPEC in the past. We'll also visit the history, how the conflict from the past to present, what can be the resolution plan for this conflict. We'll go in detail and how the crude oil is essential for the global economy. We'll going into the detail in this particular article. Now I would like to show you what exactly I have prepared for presenting before you. So this is what the presentation. So first OPEC cutting oil production, then what is the mapping OPEC and OPEC plus countries. Now OPEC oil production capacity by the countries, OPEC plus mapping, functions of OPEC, significant impact and the motive, geopolitical impact on United States, NOPEC bill, and how the NOPEC bill will affect to Saudi Arab and how the Saudi Arab is counterattack to United States, and we'll also understand the global economic slowdown, how this is impacting to Europe in brief. Without wasting time, let's begin the class. So we all know that the importance of crude oil, and it is one of the most essential commodity in the world. So by considering the source of energy, right? So it is not available in all the part of world. It is available in selected areas of the world, which is known as major oil producing countries. Now all the oil producing countries, mostly they are categorized and they are grouped into two groups. One group we can say that the group is OPEC, right? One group that is OPEC and another group is that is OPEC plus, right? One is OPEC and one is OPEC plus. OPEC was established in the 1960 and OPEC Plus was established in the 2016. Now OPEC, the members are 13 countries, and the OPEC Plus, the countries, member countries are 10 countries. Now if I say both OPEC and OPEC Plus, we have 23 countries. We have 23 countries, right? They are the major oil producing countries in the world, right? Now the headquarter of OPEC was initially it was in the Switzerland. After 5 years, they have shifted the headquarter to Austria, Vienna. Now both Austria and Switzerland both are not the member of OPEC, right? Currently 13 countries are member of OPEC and 10 countries are the member of OPEC plus. A basic question that comes to mind that why the OPEC plus, why the OPEC plus group was created if although we had already OPEC. The reason is very simple. By considering the rising global demand of crude oil, many other countries also started producing the crude oil. And they need to also make it was believed that it is necessary to form one more group that is OPEC plus in subsequent time by looking at the rising demand of the crude oil in the global market, that is OPEC plus. Russia is a part of OPEC plus, right? Russia is a part of OPEC plus. The news is about what is the news today? The OPEC plus, they have decided they will reduce the production of crude oil up to 2 million barrels per day. They will reduce the production of crude oil 2 million barrel per day. Now what will happen if they reduce the crude oil production? Now, if the OPEC plus will reduce the crude oil production, ultimately the supply will decline. Yes, the supply will decline in the global market. So once the supply will decline in the global market, automatically, so by considering the rising demand, the crude oil price will increase. Crude oil price that will increase, right? It was a challenge, global challenge to hold that price. So rising in crude oil price will be challenged to whole world, okay, not a single country. It is affect to United States of America, all the Western countries, European countries, developing country, many countries will affect by rising this crude oil price, right? It was in news. Now, basically, is it that the cutting oil production was for the first time it is taking place? No, it is not for the first time it is taking place. Rather, it is a second major cutting oil production. So, second major, that means in the pandemic time also we have seen a major cutting oil production was happened, 10 million barrel per day reduction of oil supply because of the globally slowdown of demand. They have reduced to 10 million barrels per day. The oil production was reduced by 10 million barrel per day. It was a second, it is 2 million barrel per day, so they will reduce. Now we'll understand who are the member and how exactly the OPEC is about. Now, when I say that OPEC countries are considered to be oil cattle, I'll explain that what exactly oil cattle. Just hold on. It is founded in 1960. OPEC is founded in 1960. So Iran, Kuwait, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, these are the founding members. So if someone will ask you that who are the founding members of OPEC, then the answer is very simple. That is Iran, Kuwait, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Venezuela is the founding member of OPEC, right? These are the leading powers. Subsequently, some new members being added and some members also exit from this group. Now, overall, if you see the current status of OPEC, you will see that 13 countries are the member of OPEC. That is Algeria, Angola, Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Libya, Nigeria, Saudi Arabia, Venezuela. So it is very, very important for exam that we have to locate in the map, right? So I have already designed a plane map, and what you have to do, you have to practice in a plane map. That is Venezuela and Libya, this is Algeria, and this is Nigeria, that is Equatorial Guinea, that is Gabon, this is Republic of Congo, this is Angola, Saudi Arabia, UAE, this is Kuwait, this is Iran, and this is what? Iraq. Done. These are the countries. How many countries of OPEC? OPEC? There are the 13 countries that is the member of OPEC, right? Now let's look about the production. If you see those 13 countries, so which country produced the maximum? The maximum production by a country, that is Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia produced the maximum oil production by Saudi Arabia. Then you have Iraq, then UAE, like that. You have that list. You can read in your room. So, right. So Saudi Arabia produced the maximum. This is 10.9 million barrel per day. Saudi Arabia. That means if someone will ask you that which country plays the key role for OPEC country in producing the crude oil, then you have the answer, that is Saudi Arabia, right? Saudi Arabia plays the major role because it produced the maximum crude oil in the OPEC nation. This is very, very important that you have to remember. And if you see that August 2022, you can see that 29.7 billion barrel per day was recorded as a production of crude oil. It was in the August 22 OPEC oil production by the countries, right? Now let's see that. OPEC Plus, as I said that subsequently by considering the rising demand of crude oil, so it was essential to form one more group, that is OPEC Plus. So it was formed in the 2016, and the member nations are basically 10 non-OPEC countries that are the member of OPEC Plus. Russia, Azerbaijan, Bahrain, Brunei, Kazakhstan, and Malaysia, Mexico, Oman, South Sudan, and Sudan, right? So let me tell you that these are the 10 countries. You also can see that this is all the countries. This all the non. These are what? OPEC states. Okay, the blue one is OPEC, right? And these are non-OPEC. This is non-OPEC. These are all non-OPEC countries. And Russia, Azerbaijan, Bahrain, Brunei, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, Mexico, Oman, South Sudan, and Sudan. These are OPEC and OPEC plus. Now let's move about the point is the main function of the OPEC. So if I say about the main function of the OPEC, it is a very simple and straight. OPEC is the major producer of the oil in the market. Okay. As they are the major producer of the oil in the market, they are the player who decides the price. They are the price maker. Yes. Can I say they are the price maker to the crude oils? How can I say that they are the price maker to the crude oil? Because so they have the ability, OPEC can increase the crude oil production. Yes, they can increase crude oil production, and also they can also decrease the crude oil production. Can I say the increase of the crude oil production and decrease of the crude oil production is possible through the OPEC? Right. Yes. Now, when I say increase the crude oil production, so ultimately the supply will increase. When the supply will increase, definitely price will fall. The price will decline. When the crude oil production will be lower, then supply will decline. Supply in the global market will decline. Then ultimately the price will be increased. Right. Now they are ultimately decider of the price. So now how they are deciding the price, whether the price is more or the price is less, this has been decided on the basis of a supply, right? On the basis of supply. Supply is a factor which decides the price of the crude oil. Now this concept we call it's a oil cattle. In economics that we have already studied about a concept, it's called a cartelization. As cartelization. What do you understand by cartelization? When any company or a country, when they try to influence the pricing of this particular commodity by increasing or decreasing the product supply to the market, then that process is called a cartelization. That means it is very simple. So they can reduce the supply or they can increase the supply, and they can influence the price to the crude oil. That the concept is called what? Oil cattle. Because the OPEC and OPEC plus, they are the major oil producing country, they are also known as oil cattle. It's very important, you have to remember. The fixed oil price by the managing oil supply production ensure the economic interest of OPEC members countries. Definitely. Ensure the uninterrupted oil supply to the global market secures interest of the consumers nation. Right. This is basically a objective of what OPEC. Now, if I talk about this significant of impact of the move on global economy, right? Now, if you see the current situation of the global economy, what you can see? We can see most of the countries in the world are experiencing neither is a recession, or it's a very slow economic growth, or the economy is not at all in a proper situation, and a lot of turmoils. Everything is happening all across the globe, right? So it is not the time that all the countries are having prosperous, and all the countries growth is very high. Inflation is probably very high, and you talk about America, Italy, or you German, many countries are facing the same kind of situation, right? Now in this tough period, everybody wanted to have a situation where they need the crude oil should be less price, right? India wanted to have crude oil at a less price. Every country wanted to have the crude oil at a less price, right? But unfortunately, no country wants that the crude oil should be very high price, because ultimately now this kind of higher price is not favorable to any politics. Okay. So we'll understand the currently global economy is going through a major slowdown. In so globally, the interest rate is very high, the inflation is very high. You talk about America also. America also, it is the highest in last decades. Okay, it's one of the highest inflation that is facing in America. So that is the reason the Joe Biden is highly criticized in America. Right. I will also explain what exactly political instability case in America. I'll explain. Fear of the recession also. There is a fear of recession whether you talk about Germany, you talk about Italy. So there is a fear of recession. Recession means what? Negative economic growth, GDP growth. It's a negative GDP growth. Oil being a major driver of global economy, definitely, and serious impact due to demand and supply mismatch. This is what all about the story. Now, due to this particular move, why this is completely, if you see the motive behind the cutting oil production. Now, a basic question that should come in your mind that, so why the OPEC plus country they are planning to cut the oil production? It is very simple. Now, when you see the situation just 2 to 3 months back, we can see that the crude oil price was very high, right? The crude oil price was very high in the just 2 to 3 months back. Why the crude oil price was very high? because Russia is a major supplier of crude oil to the global market, right? And Russia was engaged in the war to the Ukraine, and the war was in peak. The war was in the peak. That is the reason the supply of the crude oil from the Russia was completely restricted to the global economy. Now, once it is completely restricted to the global, so definitely there is a shortage of crude oil in the global market, right? Now, because of the shortage of the crude oil in the global market, the crude oil price was really high in that period. Now, subsequently, what Russia has done? So, Russia approached to India. Russia also approached to China, right? So, a lot of negotiation and dealing, lot of negotiation with India and China only to trade the crude oils, right? With a very much discounted price. Now, India also having the economic interest that when India is getting the crude oil at a discounted price, don't you think India will show its interest to the Russia for trading the crude oil? Definitely. And India also purchased a lot of crude oils from Russia, even though that is more than our requirement. Okay, because the only fact is very simple: we are getting the crude oil at a very cheap cost from Russia. Done. So China also, of course, openly supporting to Russia and not against to United States of America. But the India always stands in a diplomatic way. We are not supporting directly to Russia, not against to United States of America. We are just holding a relation both Western and the Russian. So we are having the relation, the balanced relation we are maintaining. Now, United States of America and Russia, they never wanted United States of America and the Western countries. They never wanted the Russia and the trading with India and China. Okay, why? Because Russia is selling the crude oil at a very very low cost. Now, when the Russia is selling the crude oil at a very low cost, so that is the reason we are purchasing more. And as we are purchasing more, that is the reason Russia is getting a lot of revenue, and those revenues are used for the war against Ukraine. Don't you think that? So if this revenue will be cutted, so definitely Russia cannot use that money in the war. It was said by United States to India that you do not trade with Russia, because of your trading they are getting revenue, and their revenue is used in the war with Ukraine. But of course, we will not listen to America because this is our economic interest, right? Now that in that meantime, just previous to that period, okay, so when the crude oil was very high price, that time the OPEC, other countries, they were getting a huge profit. Yes or no? They were getting a huge profit because if you see the global average of the crude oil, it's about 70-80 dollars per barrel, right? Now, so it was goes up to 8 to 120, $130 per barrel. It was a time to maximize the profit by the other nations, other countries, right? So why they will, of course, they are just feeling much better by seeing the more and more profit, and they have tasted that the profit during that Russia-Ukraine war, and they wanted to get that same kind of experience once again by just using what they are just lowering the production. They just want to lower the production. Why they just want to lower the production? Only to increase the price of the crude oil, and by increase the crude oil price they can maximize the profit. That's a simple. I have shown in the diagram the price of the Brent crude, right? The price of the Brent crude at start, you can see that. So it was the period the price is going up of, can you see this? Can you see this? The price is going up like that. Again the price goes up. It was January, it's just about 78, and it reached up to 127 during the peak time, okay? And also gradually it is reducing, right, like this, and also it is at a 91.8. Are you okay? So the ultimate reason of OPEC Plus is to increase the crude oil price and to maximize the profit by lowering what? The supply in the world market. Okay, this is what the motive behind the behind the cutting oil production. Let's move on to the next. Now we'll understand geopolitical impact on United States due to rising crude oil price. Now we all know that there is a very high inflation in United States. The very low GDP growth, production level is very low, and the peoples are struggling and peoples are frustrated over the governance of Joe Biden. And Joe Biden is nowadays not a popular figure in United States. Now, Joe Biden also wanted to correct the image in United States. Now, also a midterm election is coming ahead in United States. Now, if Joe Biden wants to win that election, essentially the crude oil price has to be under the control. If the crude oil price will be very high, so definitely that will impact the election, right? Now, that is the reason that Joe Biden also want to regulate that the oil, crude oil price. For regulating that crude oil price, many initiative was taken in United States. Under that initiative, the first initiative that we can say is about the initiating of NOPEC Bill in America. What exactly the NOPEC Bill in America? This bill is No Oil Producing and Exporting Cattle. This bill essentially initiated in the Senate of United States. Like us in India, we have Parliament. In America, they have what Senate. They have initiated a bill that is no oil producing and exporting cattle. This particular bill that prohibit the cartelizing practice by any OPEC nations, right? What exactly that means? If any OPEC nation, they intentionally try to increase the crude oil price by reducing the supply in the global market, that is ultimately restricted and then prohibited by this particular law. So if I talk about the validity of the law, I'm highly confused how exactly the law will operate if it happens also, right? Now the point is, it signs to the law, the US Attorney General would gain options to sue the oil cartel. If this bill is passed in the Senate in all the majority, then it will form a law. Once this bill is forming a law, then ultimately US Attorney General will get an option. If any country is doing such catalyzing practice or intentionally they are raising the price of the crude oil, so under this particular law, so that country can be under the federal court of United States. Anyway, so as I said that this law is highly unclear because Saudi Arabia is having its own sovereignty and the production limit. What is the production limit? This is the absolute authority Saudi Arabia. So Saudi Arabia can decide what can be the maximum limit of production, what can be the minimum limit of production. Whatever problems that is facing in the earth globally, so it doesn't impact to the Saudi Arab, right? Anyway, this is a law, right? Now, it is unclear exactly how the federal court will enforce judicial antitrust decision against a foreign religion nations, right? As I said, so NOPEC bill is not popular in United States also. That means some opposition also in the Senate group, they are also opposing to this NOPEC bill in America. And NOPEC would create further instability in the marketplace. They are believing that like instead of bringing peace and instead of bringing some prosperity, it also possible it create further instability in the marketplace. Now, in the 2019, so against this NOPEC bill 2019, Saudi Arabia also threatened to America, if you pass this bill in the Senate of America, then all the member nations of OPEC, they will not use the dollar as a currency for global trading. Whenever there is a global trading of crude oil, mostly the dollar is used as a currency, but they have given a warning to United States. If you pass that OPEC bill, then Saudi Arabia will not use the dollar as a global currency, right? It was the first threat which was given by Saudi Arabia. And another threat was, so Saudi Arabia is the biggest partner for arms export partner, right? Saudi Arabia, it's about 13,005 TIV. TIV is trend indicator value. What exactly trend indicator value? This is a unit which is expressed to measure the trading of arms between countries. That is a TIV. trend indicator values, the maximum trade with the United States for arms weapons, that is Saudi Arabia, then Australia, UAE, South Korea, Japan, Qatar, Israel, Iraq, and the United Kingdom and Italy. Now this is now Saudi Arabia is also giving a threat that if you make this law, then we will not do any short of trading with United States. This is also a threat to United States to against this particular NOPEC law, this NOPEC bill, right? So if someone will ask you that, is it that the Senate has already approved? No, Senate has not approved this bill. It is right now, it is under the bill only. It is not a law, it's not an act. Done? Okay, now we'll understand some of the things that Europe, how the European situations are there during this, or what will be the situation because of the rising crude oil price. Now, if you see that Europe, like you see the German, France, Italy, Spain, UK, all these countries, they are having a very, very limited growth over the years. Now, the expected growth would be very, very low, 1, 0.5, minus 0.3, 0.7, minus 0.2. One, are you getting? These countries are having excessively low growth. Why? So they are mainly affected by the pandemic and the situation is not getting over, right? Now also Europe is having the energy crisis. Why? Winter season is in the European countries, they have a very, very minimum temperature and they need a lot of energy for heating the room, and for the room heater they need a lot of energy. So and those energy, so they are not getting because of the rising crude oil, right? Rising crude oil price, especially in winter. Some European nations expecting negative GDP growth. That is about what Europe. Now we'll also discuss one more fact, that is Russian oil price cap plan. What exactly it is? Now understand. Now all the countries, now we are discussing about all the countries in the world, those are non-oil producing country. They wanted that the crude oil price should be in a stable, right? It should not be very high, right? If the crude oil price will be very high, it ultimately impact to all the nations across the world, right? Globally, it affect the global economy. So every country wants the price should be stable, right? So now what exactly in the current time, Russian oil price cap plan was introduced by G7 countries. We all know about the G7 countries, that is US, UK, Canada, France, Germany, Italy and Japan. These are the G7 countries. They have started a plan that is called oil price cap plan. What do you mean by that? They have framed a cap for selling, right? For example, they have decided this has to be the maximum price for oil, right? So oil price cap plan. Now this particular cap plan has to be, this the price has to be followed by Russia. That means Russia cannot increase the price beyond this particular cap. If Russia is selling the oils at more than that price, then what will happen? Now, if the Russia will increase sell the oil at more than that price or the cap price, then what will happen? The rest to most of the insurance company for shipping are located in the Europe. Now that means see, whenever a shipping or the oil transportation takes place, and the ship has to be under the insurance, yes or no? So if the ship will be not under insurance, then there is a risk that is attached with the transportation, right? Now, what kind of risk? Maybe something happened, the ship is collapsed, or something happened, or the oil spill. Many problems that can be there in a ocean or that is in the route. So always the ship has to be under the insurance. Basically, all the insurance, big insurance company and those who have a lot of capital, they are belongs to, they are from European companies, okay? And Russian companies or the shipping, they mostly through the European route. Now, because of that fact, if Russia will sell the price more than the cap, if the Russia will sell more than the cap, then the shipping the ship they will be not under the insurance. The European company, they will not provide the insurance for that particular shipping. If you sell more than that price, you will be not under the insurance. Point is, if you are not under the insurance, then that is not a preferable option for trading, because any buyers, so buyer will be always in the tension that if the ship will, something will happen, if the oils will not reach, anything can be happen in between that route. So it has to be under the insurance. Now European plans to cut off the shipping service for Russian oils sold above the cap price. If you are selling above the cap price, then all the services related to shipping services that will be cut by the European Union. Is it clear? Now, if you want to get all the insurance, all the services, everything if you want to get, then you have to sell the oil price below that cap, not above that cap, which is called Russian oil price cap plan, right? This is about. And also, Joe Biden has directed Department of Energy to release 10 million barrels from strategic petroleum reserve for next month. That means by seeing that the rising crude oil price, so in order to bring some stability in the pricing segment of crude oil, Department of Energy in the United States, they have released 10 million barrels from strategic petroleum reserve in the next month. It's not that, and India also released 5 million barrel oil from the strategic. That means India also in favor of United States. They are also fighting against the rising of the crude oil price. So that is all about this article. And the oil will be released in parallel consultation with the US, UK, China, Japan and South Korea. Now, whatever we have discussed, these are the total article. And if you like this initiative, so do like the video and share the video and subscribe the channel. If you want to reach us, then you can connect me with the following numbers, right? This is my number. You can connect with this number. Our office is there in Napoli, Jadavia, Bhubaneswar. This video is in English, and we are also bringing the videos in Hindi and English. Also in our channel, you will get the videos on Hindi and English model also. Thank you guys. Thank you.